We need to make a slider that says "We speak DPA."
Yeah,
that's just like just 100%. By the way, DPA is also Danish for $1,000. So if you didn't know that. Hey, welcome to episode 4 of the MicRentals podcast. I'm your host, Steven Aruda, aka MicRentals, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Christian Miller. How you doing this morning?
Doing great. How was your morning, Steven? Talk about your morning.
Do I have to? Okay, without going into crazy detail, today's a Saturday when we do these. I woke up at right around 6, and I had to spend some time at United Cargo Quick Pack here in Tulsa. So thank you, United, for bailing us out again. Won't go into too many of the details, but that was fun and exhausting. So I'm hitting the coffee pretty hard this morning.
Nothing like starting your day by going to the airport. And not like having to go anywhere, or like there's like just dropping off this stuff, and then you had to go back and pick up another load and go.
Correct. I only have 2 arms, so I can only carry so much stuff. So, and it just people behind me are thinking that's my luggage, and they're always just like, "You're not leaving with that," and that's kind of like the air cargo system's one of those things that. You don't know it exists until you need it or until you do it. And we're one of the few that we're not just like we're showing up ourselves. We're not having like a courier do it or anything like that. So yes, fun and eventful morning. You're going to catch me taking a lot of deep breaths today because I'm just trying to stay with it. I'm here for you all. But
so we're going to be diving in because we talked about the origins of MicRentals. We've talked about, the first year, the first rental, the first out-of-state rental. And then now we're kind of moving into 2017. And not by coincidence, we are talking on DPA 2017.
You just got all up in on that thing.
All up on it.
If you haven't noticed, today we switched mics out. Like we always are going to try to just mix things up every once in a while. Why not? It's what we do. We have all the selection in the dang world in the room we're sitting in. If this is your first time tuning in, we are recording this in our rental space. We got wireless behind each of us. Christian's got the wall of cables, but
there's some snakes on this plane.
There's some snakes on this plane. So
audio snakes.
The 2017 is a DPA. It's a shotgun. It's actually fairly new. Funny enough, it didn't come out in 2017, but it was released in 2023. And pretty cool thing is that we were involved kind of in its launch. Like we were using it before it was available to anybody.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Like the instance that we started using them?
Was it on the James Berry?
Yes. Yeah. So we were using them with James Berry and Tanner Kinney out on the Renaissance tour to capture I want to say the room, but it's like the freaking stadium. That ain't no room.
Yeah.
So it was to capture audience. So the 2017s were mainly used on the ground. Part of it is because their sensitivity is a little bit lower than the bigger brother to this, I guess. The original, the 4017 was...
Come back in 2 millennia, and in 4017 we'll do an episode on that,
Yes. Yeah.
The year 4017.
And it's funny, we'll talk a little bit more about DPA in itself a little bit later on, but this guy, what's really amazing is it falls into this class called RF bias. RF bias shotguns are shotgun microphones that you can use indoors or outdoors. So they have a really good rating as far as handling humidity and things like that. There are others that are not, that they might sound better than this indoors, but you bring them outside and they can't handle the humidity, the heat, anything like that. I've even used shotguns closer to people around like a campfire, and then the mic just starts like popping and clicking like crazy, and I didn't know what was going on, and then I realized that it was the heat of, hey, wow, heat affects electronics.
Wow.
Yeah, Yeah, shocker. So shotguns, if you weren't aware, they have a very unique pattern to them. This is going to be risky. I'm going to slide this off. That sounds so great. Yeah.
DPA ASMR.
I know. Shotguns are great for TV and film use. We're using them in kind of a little bit unconventional style. Most podcasts use like the SM7Bs, the Ethos, EVR 20s, Heil, different mics like that, because you don't want to be like right up on a shotgun because like it can't handle the plosives like other mics. Boom. You'll see shotguns used on the Tiny Desk, NPR's Tiny Desk. Those are all 416s. If you didn't know, now you know. I think they use those mainly because with shotguns, the pickup pattern is so tight on these. And they're tight for a reason. This thing down the side is called an interference tube, and that interference tube creates the tight low bar pattern. And normally with shotguns, as they get longer, that pattern gets like tighter. So you can go shorter shotguns tend to be like 70 degrees as far as its width. And then if you go to like the medium length shotguns, I would put 416s kind of fit in that class. Actually, if you go a little higher than that, maybe the MKH 70s, but those start to get to the long throws. So you go from like a 70 to a 50, then down to a 30. So like the 80 70s by Sennheiser are mega directional. They tend to, I'm going to put this back on, but they tend to, they tend to be used like, what's the word I'm looking for? Reach. People use that word kind of incorrectly when they're talking about shotguns. This shotgun has a great reach. Well, it's not reaching anything. All it's doing is really focusing on the area that it actually picks up sound from. So, mentioned the 8070s. Those are great. I think we were using Tanner was using those on the delay tower decks to pick up the lower bowl, which was, those people are like 50 to 75 feet away, but they're also loud enough to give you usable tracks. I mean, this amongst the other 100 channels of audience capture that they were doing, it was absolutely insane. But shotguns. Mentioned that with TV and film, but something that they're really good at. If any of you do post-production, they're really great for capturing what's called Foley, and it's actually named after the guy Foley that can
not Mick Foley.
Not like I don't even know who that.
Oh, it's a wrestler.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. I was like I know like Bam Bam Bigelow. My generation was Jimmy Fly Snuka. Oh, jeez. Anyway, but Foley, like this would be a great example if you were watching a let's say you were editing or doing post-production on a TV or film, and you noticed there was a pretty obvious like move of clothing or a brush of somebody's shirt, and it just seemed weird that the sound wasn't there. Well, somebody would come into a room, probably a little bit more soundproof, more than this room, and they would actually do that sound.
I mean, Steven, this would be a great time to show off those boxes of Mike and Ike's.
Oh, hey.
Do a little rain stick with
and we'll talk about that pickup pattern. Yeah. So it's like the rain stick, right? But check this out. As we get to the off axis, now you're hearing more of the reflections from the wall and everything behind me coming back to the mic more than anything. So that's very good. Very good. And by the way, an unofficial sponsor. So anyway, that's the 2017. A big difference on the 4017. I should have brought that one out, but maybe I'll go grab it later. Yeah. 4017 is modular, meaning you can actually take the capsule off and you can put it on different preamps and stuff like that. So a couple things, here. It's got this really, I gotta take this back off again. Really cool shock mount that it comes with, but when you're doing location sound, you're going to want to have something with better suspension, because this will pick up the vibration of the boom if you're holding it and it's not suspended properly. there we go. So 2017, they sound great. I mean, shoot.
Oh, they're great. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm happy. You happy?
I'm happy.
Okay. Do you have any questions about this?
No.
Usage.
Yeah, we talked about that. You mentioned Foley, location sound, obviously audience mics.
Yes.
It's a great spot in the room. Speaking of 2017, the beginning of the year 2017, let's talk about that.
Do I have to?
Let's talk about,
It's always, every year was a struggle. It started getting easier.
Yeah.
I do want to say that. But yes, 2017, as far as the year goes, and the year goes with MicRentals, I think we were trying to explore. So we did MXU the previous year, and MXU was about to do. They announced the next year was going to be at Saddleback, and I looked at the dates, and it just so coincided with the NAMM show. The NAMM show, if you're not familiar, is the National Association of Music Merchants show. And so it's all the musical instrument manufacturers. I didn't realize there was audio manufacturers, so every mic manufacturer is there.
Everything from ukuleles to pianos to PA. Drums, like...
Too many drums.
To all the outboard gear that you can just drool over.
Yeah, I want to say it's like prosumer. So like there's a lot of consumers and a lot of professionals. And it happens at a great time of year. So if you never had a chance to go, I would try to go, because you might bump in with, I mean, I've walked around, but this is before I knew people at all. Like Pooch is walking around, and Pooch has done everybody from Kiss to Jay-Z to Katy Perry to Bieber. I mean, everybody. But you'll see, Chris Lord, Algie. Is that how you say the last name? I just remember CLA because those plugins are killer.
Oh yeah.
But you see the mix with the Masters guys.
This year, he was walking around, which was crazy.
Paluzzo.
Yeah, the Paluzzo guys.
Yeah.
And then there's like musical artists too that you'll just randomly see. Like we were over by SC talking to Rupert Neve, and there was like, the band guys from the Swedish heavy metal band In Flames. And I was just like...
You would know.
Yeah, we were just like talking with I'm like, I know that guy.
Stevie Wonder shows up every year. I've heard John Mayer shows up. So again, really cool show. Never been. I didn't know what to expect. But the first thing I had to focus on was like how the flip am I going to get out there? And thankfully my partner had a voucher for Southwest Airlines. So it was just like, I've never been to California. So
that was your first time to California?
First time to California.
Wow.
So I'm like, cool. I'm getting a rental car, so driving in LA for the first time. And I just thank God I grew up learning how to drive on the East Coast. So if you can drive there, you can drive anywhere. So very confident in that. So went down and did got out there, went and did MXU Saddleback. So the Andrew, Lee, and Jeff, the OGs.
Yes.
Really, really great event. That was the second time that they've done MXU at Saddleback in one of the tents outdoors. And man, what a beautiful campus. It's so crazy. You think you're indoors, but you're not, because the weather in January is like perfect.
Yeah.
Such a nice campus. But that was really great. One of the things they did at that one specifically was they were running a playback of some of these mix, and they were trying to see if anybody could identify what console. So they had... Lee was on a Yamaha. Obviously, Andrew, always SSL.
Yeah.
And Jeff, sometimes Digico, sometimes the Wave DJ rig.
Yeah.
Whatever he calls it.
Yeah.
But it's funny, they were actually running it in the background through an X32. That was really great. Kind of to prove a point that you could get a great mix off of a less than $3,000 console. So, so again, I'm in the position of doing badges, handing out candy, saying hi, and just meeting our future next wave of customers. Saddleback ended up being a customer of ours, and they still are. it may not be like every month or something, but maybe once or twice a year they have something special going on. I know we've sent audience recording packages for their worship recordings outdoors.
Yeah.
So again, Connor Jenkins, one of the first guys that come to mind, and Aaron Roos was another one. But yeah, really cool connections from that. So then the next day was NAMM. Again, no clue what to expect. I ended up parking in like the Toy Story parking lot for Disneyland. Because man, my game now is like, don't do this, don't do that. But that's like the lines were like out and around the hotels and all that. It was crazy how much of a wait that was. But I think I went. What was I in my mindset? It was just enjoying the journey, just being open to discovery. I didn't have a plan. Just like, I'm gonna walk around. I still kind of do the same thing.
Yeah.
You went with me this past January. I just kind of walk around the room, especially the outsides of it. Then they did not have the North Hall yet.
Yeah.
They weren't using it, or wasn't open, or wasn't finished. So the pro audio side was mingled with everybody. So it was so dang noisy. The noise hit me so hard. It was like, whoa, so not a good place for introverts. But, that's the thing about shifting gears and learning how to do something new. And it was first or second, but the one I want to focus on, because we're talking about the 2017 is DPA, DPA. And funny enough, the band that was playing, still remember it. It was Trout Steak Revival. I think there's stickers on our fridge.
Oh, yeah.
But it was really cool. They had the whole band mic'd up with DPA. You could go over to like a mix station and solo all of those mics. And it was great. Well, good thing the instruments, it was mostly 4099s. I didn't even know what those were then either.
Wow.
Right. I was only aware of their headsets. Again, we'll talk about those later.
Yes.
But the 4018s, again, not on my radar at all. I knew we had some at Church on the Move, but didn't know what they were called.
Yeah.
I think they just said de facto on the side.
Yes.
Right? But other than that, we didn't know that there was like multiple capsules that they make. And again, we'll talk about more of that later. So this is so early on that we didn't have any dealer cards and anything. We're buying through a partner. Most of our stuff, Shure, Sennheiser, and all that stuff, that we had to do that. But I wanted to just discover just mainly not so the more popular brands, if you will. However, well respected is another man.
Oh, for sure.
So I ended up talking with I believe trying to remember if I met Alan that year. I know I met him that year, but I can't remember if I met him at that event specifically. But learning so much about DPA, and holy cow, how much it's used in film and TV and theater, especially Broadway. Good Lord. I think one of the guys told me that there's a production house or rental house in Paris that has like 4,000 DPAs.
That's
I'm like,
crazy.
We're getting there. I think we're like 10%. We got about 10% about that. And we need to post a picture of our DPA shelf.
Yeah.
That'd be killer. But seeing what could be possible, and a lot of it was hope. And what I could see, that MicRentals being that tool, that try before you buy tool. So I was trying to explain to them. Everybody immediately hears the rental name and they're just thinking you're just going to buy for yourself, I was like, well, I think what's going to happen is people are going to use us and they're going to be like, hey, I love this mic. Can I keep it?
Yeah.
Can I get 4 of these?
That was one of Stone's MOs. He would want to rent something and he's like, yeah, you're not getting this back.
Like, I think there's tweets. I'm going to find that tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm going to find that tweet, shoot, if you find that tweet, go ahead and post that in the comments. Because I think he said on a couple occasions, like, yeah, I'm not giving these back anytime soon. And I was like, what? That definitely happened with the Mojaves. I think that happened with 4099s.
Yeah.
Are those still part of the drum setup? 4099s?
I think so. Unless they went to DM20s. I think, yeah. The last iteration when I was there was They had 2 kits at the time. It was so bougie because we had 2 different kinds of players. One guy played left-handed, and so we would switch drum kits on risers in between
And then
weeks.
John's open-handed,
Yeah.
right?
And so one had DM20s, one had 4099s on them. They had a little bit of different flavor for each of them.
Gotcha. Yeah, and man, again, Andrew being kind of like our goat, right? Our big cheerleader, if you will. He anything that he liked and said rocked and all that stuff, that was a big boost of confidence.
Yeah.
And for him to say that kind of stuff was, really important to us, especially at the beginning. So, figuring out how DPA was going to fit into the bigger picture of things wasn't that hard.
Yeah.
I didn't know it would grow to what it is now. We're one of the top 10 dealers in the country, which blows my mind. We're only 8 people.
Yes.
And so it's like that's our specialty. So, and early on with DPA, I think the toughest thing is to figure out like ordering stuff.
Yeah.
And in 2017, they had and before that, they had a very, very, very tricky way of labeling their products.
Yes.
And so I think this is now we're considered. What do we call it? Like DPA Code Talkers?
Yeah, we're like the Navajo Code Talkers from World War II, but it's for all the DPA, 6066, 6061,
right?
All that stuff. The loud, the extreme,
So
omni, cardioid.
Yeah, and then that's like just with the headsets. I mean, I'm looking right across at our DPA stuff. And we put these things in these crates that are back here. There is 12, 20, about 25, almost 30, maybe more than 30 of these crates, and they're full of headsets. And I'm probably going to get up here in a second and go and grab some stuff. But yeah, early on the DPA numbers were very, very tricky for even a dealer to understand what it was saying. Mm-hmm. And then it's funny, it wasn't until the next year that I actually sat in a class and they broke down the new.
So what we're saying is on Steven's resume, he's certified for DPA because he's took the class, he knows the number, the SKUs, and all that stuff now.
We need to make a slider that says we speak DPA.
Yeah.
That's just like, just 100%. By the way, DPA is also Danish for $1,000. So if you didn't know that. Yeah, because one of the big questions we get is, oh my word, headsets.
Yes.
And now there's the 3 customers that come to us. Remember, we talked about the ABC, Advanced, Basic, and the Casual. Mm-hmm. Production companies, they got a rider. It says exactly what they have to have. And so they're like, hey, I need 12 41 88s in black, and they need to be terminated for Limo. Yeah. Something like that. Well, that has a whole, I'm going to have to end up writing this down because retaining it can be pretty tough as far as repeating it. And then there'll be other people that are needing our assistance. Like, hey, we need to change my pastor's headset out.
Case in point, we had a recent rental where they're like, hey, we need some headsets for they're doing kind of I think it was a cooking class in a new space. And they were like, oh, we have concrete floors. There's no diffusion, no treatment to the room whatsoever. And it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, you need a cardioid pattern for that. All this sort of stuff to fight the feedback. It's like you said, we have the people that come and it's like, we want this. Then we have people that's like, this is kind of like what we're trying to do. And we walk through it with them. Like, it's almost like a checklist, a mental checklist of like, okay, well, what's this? What are you using for this? And that's like, okay, well, this will be the best one. And then there's some cosmetic options on top of that, whether you want the sub-miniature or the normal size and stuff.
Yes. And hey, so we're going to talk about this right now and like write this down. First of all, it's usage. How it's going to be used. I'm specifically talking to the live church production people that are out there that are trying to figure this out. So as Christian mentioned, there's 2 patterns to select from, Omni and Cardioid. They both have advantages and disadvantages. Okay, so Omni are really placement friendly. So you could place it like down here.
Very forgiving.
Very forgiving.
Like at COTM when I was there, if we had a guest speaker, they were going on an Omni because you just don't know what you're walking into with, how loud they're going to be, how soft they're going to be, all that stuff. Like there's so many variables, and it was like, we'll cast the widest net with an Omni, and then we'll just dial it back from that.
Yes, because cardioid is not so forgiving.
Yeah.
And the other thing is it's very prone to plosives because you're getting super close to the mouth.
Yeah.
And air comes out of you don't realize it's like air coming out of your ears, your nose, your eyeballs.
Your pores.
Just like, where's that coming from?
Yeah.
But it's got to be dialed in. Like, shoot, Pastor George's headset, I mean, is like molded to his head.
Oh, that one was so intense where like if there was one thing off, it would creep up towards his nose and you'd lose all body of his voice.
Yeah.
And then vice versa, if it dropped down too low, you had no high end.
Right.
And so it was, yeah.
And there's like 2 or 3 of those, right? There's like a traveling headset.
He has a travel headset. We had backups.
Yeah.
And his primary.
And with adapters to pretty much everything wireless that's available.
Yeah.
And so he has to have a windscreen on that 100%.
Yes.
Omnis tend not to because you can be back farther from the mouth. You can be right off to the side. And that's where air doesn't tend to travel. But every once in a while, you get somebody, they got this air coming from somewhere. But the tricky thing is game before feedback. That's what we focus on a lot with our listings. That's what the importance of those pickup patterns. So, if you're in a cardioid pickup pattern, that's going to help you get more game before feedback. Where Omni is gonna work against you a little bit, especially in regards to proximity to your PA. Or for those of you who don't know what PA is, I'm just talking about speakers. When we're at South, our line array of that Nexo rig wasn't as far away as the JBL Vertec was at Church on the Move. It's pretty dang close. I tried Omni because I did want to get away from the windscreen thing. It wasn't a good idea.
Yeah.
Because then I'm starting to do a lot of corrective EQ in order to make it sound good. So having a dialed in PA really helps, is really friendly to Omnis. And then of course, like if not, you are going to be slicing and dicing.
Yeah.
And if you don't have time to dial that in, it's probably not a good choice, and a lot of cases, or if you're real green in that area, you can't hear what you need to remove quickly. So that's like that part of functionality. Then we start going towards comfort. And I think this is where I need to go grab some stuff because it's so visual.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So Steven's going to go pillage for some mic and Ikes and DPAs or whatever. But I want to tell you guys that you guys can take 15% off your first, actually any rental, with code RENT15. Go to our website, check out our selection. Let me see here. I think we got some new stuff on the site. I can just tell you guys straight to your face. Let's see here. Oh yeah, so we are now a dealer for Ear Trumpet Labs, which is awesome. Killer. They're really cool looking mics. We'll have Daryl fly in the Myrtle or something on the screen.
Business must be good. I can't find anything.
Fresh out of DPAs, no. But yeah, we have the Myrtle and we have the Nadine. We actually got some feedback on the Nadine, so it's a double bass, mic, for string instruments. And they liked it so much that they were switching from their, I think they were doing some 4099s to it, and they purchased some, which is crazy because 4099s are like the most utilitarian mic there is. Great stuff. They also look really cool. We'll have him throw in a photo of the Nadine here. Yeah.
Hang on, I'm actually going to patch one of these suckers in. Wait a second. I can do that, right? We can patch this in.
I'm patching you in.
Okay.
Doing this live.
Oh yeah, that sounded great. Probably have to dial that back a little bit, but anyway.
Fix it in post.
Fix it in post.
No, man.
So if you can at least hear me on this, what I just did, I grabbed a headset and I'm coming down. Hang on. I'm coming down here. I'm coming down to your level.
There we go.
What I just did is I grabbed a headset, and this is a DAD 6001 adapter that adapts this to XLR. So you can use this on any of their mics that have the microdot system. So it's not pre-terminated. So we do that a lot because we never know what wireless people are going to be using. So they'll just say, hey, I'm on a Sennheiser 6000 series with LEMO, or I'm on Shure with TA4F. So pop quiz. What's the part number for the LEMO adapter?
The LEMO?
Don't look. Okay, what about the...
I just go to the drawer,
Sure
man.
adapter. Okay, 6034 or 6010. My bad, is Shure. 6034. That's Sennheiser. 6019. That's Sony.
You're also asking me this, and they completely changed their whole adapter scheme with the new
They
micro
have.
lock, and so it's
They
like
have.
9034
Yes,
now
oh
or
my
whatever.
word. So we're gonna have to mention that too. So DPA recently released the Core Plus as well with a new micro locking system.
So if you ever had to you had a DPA headset and you needed to tape the adapter just to give you, because it doesn't lock, to just have that peace of mind.
Yeah.
They now have a new system that it has these like teeth and stuff, and it actually locks in where you have to press it in and actually turn to get it off.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Is this thing like taped on? I need to get this a little closer to my face, but again, since it's Omni, there we go.
This is also a class on how to have mic placement.
Yeah. So you tend not to want to have it rubbing against.
You wanted
the
a
face.
solid, thumb away from your mustache.
Oh yeah, this is the first time I've ever worn a headset with a mistake. So right now I'm wearing a 4066. So 4066 is like the classic DPA model. This headband is pretty rigid.
Yes.
It's not the most comfortable in the world. So when you're shooting headsets out, yeah, you got to do pickup pattern. But it also helps to use the other, I call them form factors, and that being the 4066 model with the classic or the rigid headset.
And I wouldn't, just to preface this, I wouldn't say it's the most uncomfortable. It's just you'll feel that you're wearing a headset the most. Because you can
True.
adjust it to fit your needs and all that stuff.
Well said.
But like if you have a guest or whatever, it's like they're going to feel that they really have a headset on. There are other options that you'll probably get into. They just kind of go down from that. They're just more relaxed, more kind of loose, kind of fit to your ears, comfortable in the sense that you don't feel it.
Good segue. Okay. So this is what I call the hybrid model. I don't know if that's an official DPA thing, but they released this with the 6066. Gosh, that seemed like it was like 2018, 2019 is when that sucker came out. But they recently redid a line where they have directionals with this same form factor. The colors is also a thing. So there's in the 4066, 4088s, there's black, beige, and cocoa. Well, when you get to the 4488, that's what this is. This is directional. You can tell. I'm glad I got both of these up. The Omni, you can see the windscreen's right on top, right? Where this, it's on the side. It's directional. Where Omni's, got it. So when they do them in this style, the beige tends to be rose gold, and the brown's kind of like a bronze, and black's black.
Yeah.
So again, if you're trying to make headsets blend into skin tone and stuff, that's great. This ends up also working on anybody who's got lighter skin tone but wears a lot of makeup as well. But very, very fluid.
Yeah, very flexible. But there is still that rigidity to it where if you gotta if you have a pastor that wants to be able to feel it a little bit, not have it kind of disappear, because sometimes they can get kind of weirded out if they can't feel something on them that's there.
Do you have a favorite headset by chance?
Mine's I like the old school, the 6066.
The Sub Mini.
Yeah.
Okay. So the sub miniature, I know it's funny. I don't know if we had. Did I? Yeah, I think we're all out of them right now. So that's a very popular headset model. Yeah, I went there and it was like every crate's empty, but that probably had something to do with this morning. What I had to do this morning. So this sucker that I'm getting out right now, it's funny. I'm not even going to look at the model number that's on the bag. I can't remember what I grabbed, but just seeing this,
it looks like like butterfly antennae. That's
yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
But this is extremely flexible. This is we call it the flex, if you will. But this will feel like you're not wearing a headset. Some of the downsides can be is their movement, the boom movement can, especially if you're doing drama stuff.
Yeah.
The rigids will stay in place very well. These will, if you're moving all around, we do this huge Easter production every year or every other year with the First Pentecostal Church on North Little Rock.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kirk Kanai and the boys. And as we've done a couple of them, we realize like the rigids are just gonna make more sense for the actors.
Yeah.
Because these are on a microdot connection too, so these can spin.
Yes.
And if it's directional, you're going to be and it spins, you're on the off axis. And it's happened a couple of times. They're like, why is that headset just so dull? I was like, it's turned around.
It's an audience mic now.
It's true. Yeah, true. But if I take this windscreen off, this will kind of tell me what this is without breaking it. All right. So this is a 4188 because the element, I'll get that later, because the element is pointing at me versus being on the very, very end. So this is 4288, excuse me. I think I said 4188 because I'm looking at a 4188 on the side here. So 4288 they always have the flexible headset. And then this is a 4188. So the 4188, you're like, dear Lord, Stephen, all these things. It's like, it's okay. We'll help you slim it down to where you're only maybe trying 3 headsets, not having to do every dang model they got. So just have your color choice in mind. You want to do if you know omnis aren't going to be good, then don't try those. So then next thing is like of course pickup patterns. So if you want different pickup patterns, but then at least get 3 variants of the headset, a form factor in there. So 4188 is a little bit different. This is a slim, very harder to see. If I held up this is also directional, but if I held these up together, you can obviously this one's slimmer. So it's just a flat version of the directional capsule. Not much change in how they sound themselves. But the 4188s also come with these very, very flexible headset as well.
Yeah.
Again, if you're moving around a lot, it might move too. Did I bring anything else? I didn't. So I think that's a good place to pause on the on the headset stuff as far as. But that's what we're here for. That's what the 15% is for.
Yes.
Help you choose those headsets, and hey, when you're done and you know what you want, and you want to acquire some for yourself, please hit up our sales team. We're happy to send you a quote. We have special pricing for anybody that comes to us. We actually can't say what that is because there's things called MAP policies that we have to follow. But
it never hurts to ask.
Yeah, it never hurts to ask whatsoever at all. But we know these inside and out, and especially ask about the Core Plus. The Core Plus has really improved how DPA headsets sound. Have you gotten to AB on any of those at all? I
have not, but I've seen the graph. And it looks crazy.
Yeah, so they did the core version, which increased total harmonic distortion by like 14 dB or something like that. And then Core Plus increased it like the dynamic range across the entire frequency response, and it just sounds different.
Yeah.
And for the better. So it's like, wow, these are kind of like the go-to headsets. Always sound really good. But hey, and we're not just focused on DPA here. There are other options for you to try. Like I think Pastor Witt, who's our pastor at Church on the Move, he's on an H6 still, or
Yeah.
did he switch? So
From what I know, yeah, he's still on Countryman.
Yeah, so like the Countryman fits him.
Yeah.
And pretty sure the H6 that's just the Omni version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and man, it looks great on him. You know, skinnier head and all that. So, but we have like Point Source is another option. Again, if you just want to even just talk with us, start by texting us at 844-736-3642. And that will start a chat with any handful of us, and that could turn into a shootout for you.
You know, and if you run a summer camp, we have this thing behind me called a Galaxy headset. That's a great option if you have some teenagers you want on some headsets, but you don't want them running around with $1,000 on their head.
Yes.
It's a great option.
First started seeing those at Kids on the Move.
Yep.
And it was just like, I mean, and then we got some out of Dry Gulch. Makes total sense because it's like they're only $100 to replace.
Yeah.
You know, good Lord, we have a bunch of connection options for them, mainly Shure and Sennheiser.
Yeah.
Are the two main ones that every once in a while you have that Audio Technica, you know, wireless out there, but or AKG. And, you know, people come send those back and they'll feel bad about breaking them. And it's just like, you know, it's not even worth complaining about.
Yeah.
That's why we send those out. They rather not replace like a $700, $800 headset versus, you know, less than $100, you know, to replace that. But great. That's a great kids option as well. And hey, as we go through the seasons or the episodes of these, we'll introduce some of those other ones we talked about. And maybe even some other ones we haven't mentioned.
It's true.
There's one sitting in my office right now that I can't tell you about. So anyway, man, that's like we didn't even get into pencil condensers and all that stuff. We're going to have to push that to a whole nother.
Yeah. Or all the lavs and.
Oh my gosh, there's so much, but hey, we speak DPA. You reach out anytime.
Yeah.
We're going to close this out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just
I got to clean up this mess.
Yeah, you clean up that mess. So again, please use the code RENT15 if you're wanting to try something out or do a shootout between a couple of headsets or even capsules. We do a bucket of capsules thing where you can choose 6. What's that, Steven?
Can I mention this?
Okay.
Hey, just we were talking about location sound and stuff. This book I read early on in my start of MicRentals to really take a deep dive into location sound, even though I had a little bit of a background in it. But it's the Location Sound Bible by Rick Veers. Great read and a great dive into all things location sound. Sorry.
No, you're good. But yeah, just want to ask you to like, subscribe, ring that bell if that's what you're into, and Steven is distracting.
I'm hitting Rupert.
But yeah, and then we'll also drop our newsletter down there as well. If you guys want to, we update new products, new things on our website, new sale stuff that are creeping out. You know, it's about to be Easter and springtime, and I know there's some stuff in the books for that are coming up.
And we're also cycling out some of our own gear.
And we cycle out gear, and so yeah, you church production stewards over there, you know, grab some mics at a killer deal. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with us on this episode, and we'll catch you next time.